I was gone for 2 weeks, and it feels like I was in a coma, and I was gone for 10 years. So here's what you missed while I was away, or maybe you didn't miss it. So we were gone a couple of weeks, and I just needed to make sure that I recap everything that happened while we were on break. Trump, our orange man, he tested positive for COVID. He was rushed to Walter Reed Hospital on a Friday evening. While staying at the hospital, Trump took a little joyride Sunday night to greet his supporters while he's absolutely sick. He is spraying COVID all over the inside of his limousine. The poor guy who was driving that limousine, I would not want that job, nor would I want that job of the Secret Service who has to, get sprayed with COVID by Trump to go wave to his supporters. But that's what he did. It was a move that absolutely horrified many Secret Service agents. He endangered so many people's health just for political gain to wave to his followers. He was discharged from Walter Reed on Monday evening. He tweeted a video in which he told people not to be afraid of COVID, saying, quote, "Don't be afraid of it. You're going to beat it." Now, this is even though 215,000 Americans have already died from the disease. And I would say to Donald Trump that God forbid me or anybody in the squad or anybody I love, or for that matter, any American was to get COVID. If that American, me, you, or any American got COVID and we were able to go to Walter Reed Medical Facility and we were able to have 4 or 5 or 6 of the best doctors in the United States of America taking care of us, plus have a presidential suite at Walter Reed Hospital, plus have the ability to have every experimental drug known to mankind and a team of medical professionals that are A+++. Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid either. But that's not the case. That's not the case when you walk into Elmhurst Hospital. You're not getting that. That's not the case when you walk into a lot of these hospitals. So it's very easy for Donald Trump, Mr. Silver Spoon in his mouth, to say, don't be afraid of it. Yeah, if I had what you had, Donald, I wouldn't be afraid of it. Meanwhile, Trump and Biden squared off for the first presidential debate for the 2020 election, and it was pretty much a disaster. I actually slept through it because I was 7 hours ahead in Turkey, but I watched it the next day. Now, during the debate, Trump repeatedly interrupted Biden, talked over the moderator, Chris Wallace, before refusing to condemn the white supremacist group, the Proud Boys, and in fact, telling them to stand by. The vice presidential debate happened, and Senator Kamala Harris and Mike Pence were separated by plexiglass dividers because at least 22 people in Donald Trump's circle, including Melania, tested positive for coronavirus. But at the end of the day, what we learned about the vice presidential debate was a fly that landed on Pence's head that drove everybody crazy. Pence didn't know the fly was there, and that's everybody what he was talking about. Nobody heard anything else anybody was saying, but that fly, that was the winner of the vice presidential debate. Meanwhile, the FBI foiled a plot to abduct Michigan Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer from her vacation home. 6 men were charged with federal crimes, and another 7 men were charged with state crimes, conspiring to abduct the governor before the November 3rd elections. By the way, just so you know, in general times, this doesn't happen in a decade. This all happened in 2 weeks. Now, according to a federal complaint, the plot was in reaction to what they viewed as her uncontrolled power. Today, it was also reported that Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia was also discussed as a possible target by the anti-government group. Now, meanwhile, White House physician Sean Conley, he's in a strange position because he is a doctor, but he also has to do whatever President Trump says because he is in the cabinet of Trump. Trump is his boss, but he's also Trump's doctor. So, there's kind of a conflict there. But he said yesterday, Trump tested negative for COVID on consecutive days, and Trump therefore headed out to the campaign crowds in Florida. Now, however, this Dr. Conley, he left out some key information, including which days and how many days Trump actually was negative. He also offered rapid test results. Those rapid test results are less accurate than the PCR, which I took, which goes up your nose, and you got to wait at least overnight for a result. The rapid tests, by the way, actually perhaps was a contributing factor to 22 people in the White House getting sick because everybody was doing those rapid tests. They were coming back negative, but apparently somebody was positive there and they gave it to everybody. So those rapid tests are not the best indicators of whether you're sick or not. The better indicator is the one that goes up your nose, and then you got to send it off to Quest Labs or the local hospital just to grow the COVID in a petri dish, and they let you know the next day. Now, Donald Trump, despite all of this, he addressed a packed, largely maskless crowd in Florida, a state he desperately needs to win. And it's so sad because, here in New York, I like to go to Florida on weekends and get some sun and come back. I can't go now. Nobody wears a mask in that state. Meanwhile, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post are all among major outlets that have declined to assign reporters to travel with Trump as he returns to the campaign trail this week, saying they do not have assurance that any basic precautions are going to be taken to protect reporters' health. At the Florida rally, Trump declared, "I feel so powerful, I'm going to walk into that audience. I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to kiss everybody in the audience. I'm going to kiss guys. I'm going to kiss the beautiful women. Everybody." Polls have his Democratic opponent, Joe Biden, ahead by 10.5 points as of Friday. This is the problem. We're only on October 13th. The election is more than 3 weeks away. A poll tells you a snapshot, a photograph, a moment in time of what people think 3 days ago. So any poll that came out today started 3 days ago. So when you say Joe Biden is ahead by 10.5 points, he was ahead 10.5 points, if this poll is even accurate, sometime between October 10th and October 12th. We don't know what people are going to do on November 3rd, which is why Hillary Clinton lost. Every poll said she was going to win, and then people changed their mind at the last second. I was telling Jilly off the air, I said, please, why can't we just have the election today? Now, according to these polls, Trump is also losing support from seniors, who are the most vulnerable in the pandemic that has already killed, as I've already said, 215,000 Americans. Now, although the rally was held outside where the virus is less likely to spread, attendees lacked any social distancing, and masking at Trump events has raised a lot of concerns. Earlier in the day, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, he said holding these large rallies was asking for a lot of trouble. Now, according to the statistics from the Johns Hopkins University, there are now more than 37.9 million coronavirus cases worldwide. More than 1 million people have died. More than 26 million people have recovered. In the United States alone, there are 7.8 million people have been diagnosed with COVID. America has more than 215,000 deaths. Drugmaker Johnson Johnson said Monday it has paused the advanced clinical trial of its experimental coronavirus vaccine because of an unexplained illness in one of the volunteers. This is the second vaccine trial to go on hold. AstraZeneca also paused their trial in the United States, and there's about 7 companies right now that are developing these vaccines. 2 of the 7 have stopped their trials because people got sick, an unexplained illness. Now, that doesn't mean that this vaccine is not safe. We don't know yet what this unexplained illness was. That's what they are looking at. Was this unexplained illness a result of the vaccine, or was this just an illness that somebody would have? They're testing 60,000 people. Of course, somebody's going to get sick some way, somehow, that has nothing to do with the vaccine. We'll find out. Meanwhile, 33 states are reporting a rise in COVID cases, including here in New York. Local officials are worried that this could be the beginning of the second surge. Let's hope that doesn't happen. In Washington, Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett's Senate hearing kicked off yesterday. Monday was day 1 of 4 of the fast-track proceedings for the 48-year-old judge to take the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's Supreme Court seat. Senator Mike Lee, who was recently diagnosed with COVID, showed up in person and spoke without a mask at the nomination hearing. I would be horrified if I was there. This guy had COVID a week ago, and he's now showing up without a mask. Now, Barrett honored RBG for the path she marked and the life she led. I'm quoting her, saying nobody could take her place. Republicans accused the Democrats of attacking Barrett for being a devout Catholic, but nobody mentioned Catholicism today at the hearings. Senator Kamala Harris slammed the confirmation process as both illegitimate and reckless. She believes, like the majority of Americans, that the next Supreme Court justice should be decided by the winner of the 2020 election. Other Democrats focused on abortion access and health care, arguing that a Barrett confirmation could overturn Roe versus Wade and roll back the Affordable Care Act. Today, Barrett repeatedly declined to give her views of Roe versus Wade and Supreme Court precedent that preserved that 1973 landmark. Even Senator Dianne Feinstein asked Barrett if Trump has the authority to delay the general election. And she said, I would need to hear these arguments before I give you an opinion. Barrett weighed in on the issue of severability, telling senators she has no judicial record on the doctrine and has never written about it. Severability states that if some terms in a contract or legislation are held to be illegal or unenforceable, the remainder still applies. This is the key thing for the Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, because it's one of the two issues the Supreme Court must decide after it hears arguments on November 10th. And here's what you missed in immigration news. So much going on. I go away for 2 weeks and it's a completely different world. The New York Times reported that in 2018, then Attorney General Jeff Sessions, he was the first Attorney General, and then Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. You may remember Rod Rosenstein from the Mueller investigation. After Sessions recused himself, Rosenstein was the Attorney General who was in charge of supervising Mueller in the Mueller report. Well, guess what General Jeff Sessions and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said? They were the driving force behind Donald Trump's zero-tolerance family separation policy. Sessions told prosecutors, we need to take away children. Rosenstein went even further, saying it did not matter how young the children were. The 5 U.S. attorneys, including 3 appointed by Donald Trump, recoiled against the order to prosecute all undocumented immigrants, even if it meant separating children from their parents. They told Justice Department officials they were deeply concerned about the children's welfare, and immigration and customs enforcement officials have started to implement a policy that allows officers to arrest and rapidly deport undocumented immigrants who have been in the United States for less than 2 years. So what does that mean? That means that it only applies to people who entered the country without inspection. If you entered the country without inspection, you are considered still at the border for up to 2 years. So if you get caught by immigration, you entered on a visa, you still have a right to a deportation hearing. If you get caught by immigration and you entered without inspection and you can't prove that you were physically here for 2 years, immigration can deport you without a hearing. It's going to be very, very difficult for people to prove that they have been here for less than or more than 2 years. How is immigration going to make that determination? Are you going to walk around with documents in your pocket? You've been in the United States for more than 2 years? You may have to. Not if you came here on a visa, but certainly if you came here without inspection. The Trump administration's deportation effort, it was blocked by a federal court judge soon after the policy was first announced in 2019. But in June, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit lifted the preliminary injunction. And that is why now ICE is able to deport people who have been here for less than 2 years if you entered without inspection. If you came here on a visitor's visa, a student visa, or a green card, they can't deport you. You need to see a judge. But if you have been here for less than 2 years without inspection, the presumption is that you're still at the border. You have no rights. Now, this policy is going to allow the agency to arrest and deport lots of undocumented immigrants without any hearing before an immigration judge. And finally, Melania Trump, who everybody thought was a nice woman, well, she mocked the plight of migrant children who were separated from their parents at the border in 2018 during a conversation secretly taped by a former aide and confidant, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, was just published a tell-all book. The conversation took place weeks after Melania made headlines when she traveled to an immigrant shelter for children in Texas along the Mexican border and wore a jacket that read in white capital letters, "I really don't care, do you?" Now, at the time, Trump and Melania said the message was directed to reporters, but in secret recordings, Melania said, "I'm driving liberals crazy by wearing it." So Melania, we didn't know what the story was with Melania. I actually thought when Trump ran for president that Trump said, here's some money, you be quiet, you just be my wife for 4 years. But apparently she's a big Trump supporter too. Meanwhile, for those who have watched Bradshaw Live in the past, you are very well aware of the $120,000 banana. You know that $120,000 banana, the one that was duct taped to the wall of Miami Art Basel. An artist took a banana, put some duct tape on a wall, and said, $120,000, this is art. Well, it went viral when it was showed at the Art Basel, Miami in December, and it's now hanging on the wall of the Guggenheim Museum after being donated anonymously. I don't know what is a worse sign for the end of the world, whether we have an orange man in the White House or a $120,000 banana duct taped to a wall that somebody actually pays $120,000 for, donates it to a museum, and a museum says, yes, this is art, we're putting it up on the wall too. The Guggenheim director, Richard Armstrong, said, "We are grateful recipients of the gift, a further demonstration of the artist's deft connection to the history of modern art." I'm sorry, Richard Armstrong. This is a banana with duct tape to a wall. Now, it comes with a certificate of authenticity and instruction manual so that owners can duct tape their own bananas to the wall. Apparently, the banana will rot after 7 to 10 days. And every 7 to 10 days, you have to now go and duct tape a new banana to the wall. Meanwhile, a man who founded the Jelly Belly name to give away is giving away a candy factory as part of a gold ticket treasure hunt. This is kind of cool. The founder of the name Jelly Belly is launching a series of golden ticket treasure hunts across the country before his retirement. Think Willy Wonka with a twist. David Klein announced the contest in a video message online saying the big winner will walk away with the key to their very own candy factory in development, not affiliated with Fairfield, California-based Jelly Belly. Thousands of dollars in prizes are up for grabs. The contest rule states you will be looking for a gold ticket in the form of a necklace with a tag that includes a code you need to use to verify your find. Winners will receive $5,000. So they are going, all of these gold tickets are going to be hidden in secret locations throughout the United States of America. We are going to have the ultimate treasure hunt where the winner will be receiving a key to one of our candy factories. Now, the contest is not free. Those who wish to participate need to pay $50, and then you get a riddle. And then based on that riddle, you got to go around and look for the treasure. In Utah, there's a 6-month-old baby, and this baby is water skiing. Meet Richard Humphreys, who is 6 months old. I want you to know I am 52 years old and I cannot water ski, and this 6-month-old baby is water skiing. In a video his parents posted of him on Lake Powell in Utah, he's standing up and balancing himself as the boat pulls him. His mom, Mindy, writes, world's youngest water skier, Rich's dad, Casey, who was just as stoked, saying 6 months, 4 days, take one look at this kid and tell me he isn't having the time of his life. What's unclear, and even crazier to think about, is if Rich can even walk yet. If he can water ski before he can take his first steps, he may be destined for water life. Mindy and Casey have made it quite clear that their son is quite the outdoorsman. Rich has his own Instagram page, and he sure seems to dig rough in it, especially when H2O is involved. I don't know if that is really good parenting. I'm sorry. I've been a parent of 2 babies. I'm looking at that video. I don't think that's very good parenting. A man known as the Dreadhead Cowboy, he was arrested for riding his horse on a Chicago highway. Drivers on a Chicago highway recently saw an unusual sight, a single cowboy riding alongside vehicles, slowing down traffic amid rush hour. The Dreadhead Cowboy, a local celebrity whose name is Adam Hollingsworth, said he rode down the Dan Ryan Expressway in support of the Kids Lives Matter movement. The initiative aims to raise awareness and motivate residents to fill out the U.S. Census to help communities receive better funding. Hollingsworth, he was arrested. The cowboy is known as an activist in the Chicago community. He's even worked with Mayor Lori Lightfoot to advocate for filling out the census. Yeah, that's something you don't see very often. You're driving down the highway. Is that a man on a horse? Well, yes, it is. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.